Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a coolant flush and fill on this 2015 Ninja 650. So the first things we need to do are remove the side fairing to get access to the coolant bottle and the coolant drain plug. So let's get started with that. First thing you're going to need is your 4mm Allen key bit and a flat edge screwdriver. Then we want to remove the 4 hex screws from the fairing, one being here, 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 and lastly down here. And then for the underneath plastic rivet part, you're going to want to do this one right here. And then if you get down really low, which I'll attempt to do, there's this one as well. So that's just 2 on this model. On the 2021 there's 3. Sorry, I take that back. So it's a total of 3. One at the front under here, and this one, and this one. So since I'm down here, I'll go ahead and get started. This one doesn't put in very well, but to remove, all I do is put a screwdriver where the opening is, and work it out. Let's take a look at that. That's looking kind of rough, so I'm going to replace that one. And the next one. Pull that out. And lastly, at the front, work it. Pull that out. You can see the bottom is now free to move. Let's get started on those 4mm bolts. All right, let's get started. For the interest of saving time, I'm going to skip forward to when all of these have been removed. Okay, I've removed the 4 screws that hold the fairing on at the top. Now it just should be a matter of pulling the fairing off gently. You'll see that it's clipped. All right, it's come loose here. Now the one thing that you want to not forget, in addition to not breaking anything, is to unplug the turn signal. You can see the connector right there. So reach in, unplug that, and then work the rest of the fairing off. Okay, so the fairing's off. You can see the coolant bottle here. See the radiator cap is up here. That's going to come off soon. First thing I want to do is remove this 8mm drain bolt. We'll get some fluid out of it, but probably not very much. Excuse me for that incompetent move. So I'll take that out. There's a crush washer that comes with it, which you want to replace. Okay, you can see the fluid coming out of there a little bit. Let's go ahead and open the rad cap up now, and we'll see what happens. So let's let that drain, and we'll be right back. All right, so since all the fluid's drained out, I'm gonna go and put the bolt back in for the drain plug. First, I'm gonna go and replace the crush washer that's on it with something acceptable. So let's go over to the bench. All right, so we'll go over to the bench here, as like I said, and we'll try to find a good matching crush washer. Here's the original here. Close examination. It's either this one or this one will do. And I think the closest match is probably this one. It's got a little more substance to it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Back at the bike, got my crush washer on my bolt. Focus. And let's put her back in. Please do not drop it into the vat of coolant. It would not be fun. I understand the torque setting on this bolt is 10 Newton meters, which works out to be about 7 foot-pounds. And if my math degree is worth anything, that would indicate that I'm looking at 84 inch-pounds. Well, let's get out the torque wrench and do it properly. So I somehow forgot that my torque wrench does actually have Newton meters on it. I didn't have to convert to foot-pounds and inch-pounds. So I got it set to 10 Newton meters, put it on the drain bolt, and it's going to be almost nothing. Almost nothing. Click. That's about it. Since we're doing a flush, we need some flush agent, so I'm going to be using this type. Bought it online. It seemed to have good reviews, so I'm going to give it a try. So let's see if we can get that into the rad and the overflow bottle one-handed. If not, I'll have to cut and come back. Here we go. We want to fill this up so that it comes right to the cap or right to the top of the rad. Side note, use a funnel next time. Yeah, the level might go down a bit while it goes into the system. While we're waiting for that, we'll put some in the overflow bottle or reservoir. You can see got about halfway there, but what I want to do now is go into the other side of the bottle and see where the fill line actually is. For whatever reason, they didn't put markings on this side of the bottle, they're on the other side. I mean, it helps when you can tell the level without taking your fairings off, but it would have been nice if they put them on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out. Okay, this is the coolant bottle from looking up by the front tire. I'm going to get my light in there. And it's hard to see, but you can see the level there, and it's pretty much right at the fill line. So that was kind of fortuitous. So I've got enough in there for now. So since the level is just about perfect on the max fill line, and it's difficult to see from this side of the motorcycle, what I thought I would do is take my Sharpie and draw a horizontal line right about where the fluid level is. So next time I know where the fill line is. Done. So now I know exactly what the maximum fill is. Now I want to put the caps for these things back on. Try not to cross thread it. Nice and snug. Same thing with the rad cap. Good and tight. Now what you want to do, start up the bike and let it warm up such that the fan comes on so you know the coolant is cycling through. Also a really good time to look for leaks. All right, she's running. Well, then that's gonna take a while. So we'll be back. So just a couple of hints on how to know the fan's going. It's hard to hear, but if you're standing right by it, you will notice it. And the other thing you can do is take your light and look really closely, and you can see the back of the rad there, and you can hopefully see the vanes of the fan. So you'll see that spinning. You should also feel the rush of air coming out when it's on. The next step is to let everything cool down again. It's scalding hot right now. That's really hot to the touch. You don't want to open that until it's cooled down. So I'm going to go away, and actually I'll probably go away for the whole rest of the day and do something else. And tomorrow I'll pick this back up and we'll put in the coolant and button everything back up. Okay, so the bike is fully cooled down, and the first thing you might notice is that the level in the coolant bottle is considerably lower. And that's likely due to the coolant finding, actually that's the flush fluid in there right now. The flush fluid displacing the air that was in the system when I refilled the reservoir. No matter, we're going to drain that flush now, and we'll put in the proper amount of real coolant. So just like before, we'll remove the drain bolt And with any luck, not get it all over my hands. Come on now. There we go. And the first thing I did, of course, was to drop the little crush washer into the coolant. Pan, that's no big deal. I got plenty of washers. So while that's draining, I'll open up the tops on the reservoir. So there's no vacuum and the rad cap. Comes out a lot more aggressively once you take the rad cap off. And we'll let that drain. Or I'll go ahead and remove this hose and see if I can get any fluid out of it. There we go. And drain it. Perfect. And we'll just put her back on before I forget. There we go. Now that the fluid's drained, I'll go ahead and put that drain bolt back in. There we go. Get that in as far as I'll go by hand. And as before, we'll grab the torque wrench. Remember, 10 Newton pounds is all you need. That's hardly turning it at all. And click. That's it. I think I said 10 Newton pounds, which is ridiculous. It's 10 Newton meters. All right, as mentioned before, I'll use a funnel this time to avoid getting a mess everywhere. I'll probably still manage to find a way to make a mess out of this, but let's see. We'll just pour it in. And tell you what, I'm going to cut before it bubbles all over the place. But you'll just have to trust me that I'm doing it right. Okay, I've got the coolant in there up to my full cold line. And just need to put the caps on these back on. And then the radiator itself. Come on, one more. Click. There we go. Looking good. So like before, I'm going to run it until the cooling system engages. Let it cool down, and then see where my level is here and add if necessary. Okay, so I went away and cut the lawn. I had some lunch and let that cool down really nicely. Take a feel there. Yeah, I can barely feel any warmth there at all, so that will be safe to open. One thing of interest is that the overflow bottle, the level has dropped significantly, showing how much air was in the system when I added the coolant. So I'm going to want to top that up. Out of interest sake, let's go ahead and take a look at where it is. Of course, are relevant to the low line on the other side of the bottle. So that's a little hard to see, maybe, but I think right there you can see that the level is pretty much right at the low line, maybe a little bit below. So that gives me a good reason to fill it up the rest of the way. While we're at it, I added the low level indicator on the bottle, so I know that I need to get the fluid between those two marks, and I might as well get right up to the full. Handy funnel this time. Coolant. And let's go. Won't take very much. Just don't want to overfill it. There, that looks good right there. Put the cap back on. And that's pretty much it. And let's get the fairing back on and we'll call it a day. One thing you don't want to do is forget to reattach the turn signal. Let's see if I can do that one-handed this time. Yes. There we go. And the rest of this process is just basically undoing what we did to take it apart. And I'm going to do that off camera. And that's it. Congratulations. You successfully changed your own engine coolant.